Liam Ramos, the 5-year-old preschooler, grabbed off the streets in the suburb of Minneapolis and shipped off to detention facility in Texas, is now back home, reunited with his mother. Liam was released after a federal judge by the name of Fred Bierry ordered his return, and then the judge lashed into Donald Trump's border policy, accusing federal agents of traumatizing children. 5-year-old Liam and his father, both Ecuadorian nationals who came to America in 2024 seeking asylum, were held in the Texas detention facility starting on January 20th. They were released on Saturday. Visits by U.S. members of Congress, including Joaquin Castro and Jasmine Crockett, revealed Liam contracted a fever, stopped eating, was vomiting, and depressed, 1,300 miles away from his mother, his friends, and his preschool. Liam could hear the sounds of protesters outside the Dilley detention facility in Texas calling for his release and his father's as Texas state troopers fired tear gas to disperse the protesters. So the judge who ordered Liam and his dad back home wrote that because they are asylum seekers, they may, in fact, end up getting deported. But the judge said they are entitled to due process, not ICE agents grabbing them in order to meet arrest quotas dictated to the Homeland Security Department by Stephen Miller and the Trump White House. In the scathing ruling by Judge Bierry, he accused Trump and his flunkies of, quote, having a perfidious lust for unbridled power. He wrote, observing human behavior confirms that for some among us, the perfidious lust for unbridled power and the imposition of cruelty in its quest know no bounds and are bereft of human decency and the rule of law be damned. Judge Bierry came down hard on Stephen Miller's quota machine, calling it ill-conceived and incompetently implemented. The judge said this administration puts quotas ahead of all else, even when it requires traumatizing children. The judge ordered Liam and his father released no later than Tuesday. Liam and his father were released on Saturday. The judge closed his ruling with a picture of Liam, that iconic shot of Liam, and then cited verses of scripture from John and Matthew. Judge Bierry weighed in on the Department of Homeland Security's new policy of making arrests using administrative instead of judicial warrants, calling it unconstitutional. So administrative warrants are signed by the Department of Homeland Security, not judges. They're some flunky inside the department. Somebody like Greg Bovino can sign off on an administrative warrant. And Judge Bierry said giving this kind of power to border and ICE agents is akin to the fox guarding the henhouse, unquote. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, on news of Liam's release, said it shouldn't take a court order to get a toddler out of a prison. Jesus. It's like we needed a court order. Liam was grabbed off the streets of Columbia Heights, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis. He is now the fourth child attending Columbia Heights public schools to be placed in detention by ICE in the past 2 weeks. Liam and his father were in the driveway outside their home after Liam returned from preschool. His father had picked him up. ICE agents were waiting. They ordered Liam to become bait, to knock on the door of his home and get his mother to come outside so she could be detained. According to witnesses, Liam's father screamed for Liam's mother, who, by the way, is pregnant. He screamed for her not to open the door for fear she would be detained. The Department of Homeland Security said Liam's mother refused to take him when they offered him. but neighbors said she was terrified. She was afraid of being detained. And then when she realized she wasn't going to be shipped off to Texas, she asked for Liam, as did some of the neighbors, as did people from the school. But ICE insisted on shipping Liam 1,300 miles away. Police in St. Paul, Minnesota have arrested Border Patrol officer Alfreda Mancilis for third and fourth degree DWIs after finding him passed out in his car, covered in his own vomit. Well, I hope it was his own vomit. Mancilis is 31 and from Texas. By the way, Greg Bovino's father served 1 year in prison for getting behind the wheel of a car drunk and crashing into a young woman, killing her. Bovino, up until a week ago, was running border operations inside Minneapolis, St. Paul. They got rid of him. Bovino, who said he ordered his agents to stop and question individuals based on their ethnic appearance, is now accused of mocking Orthodox Jews for not working on Saturdays. According to the New York Times, Bovino was on the phone with federal prosecutors 2 weeks ago. He was on the phone with federal prosecutors who work out of the Minneapolis U.S. Attorney's Office, and he was complaining that they weren't pressing criminal charges against the people he's arresting fast enough. Where am I? That's not there. There we go. During the call, Bovino complained that he was unable to reach U.S. Attorney Daniel Rosen because Rosen, an Orthodox Jew, refuses to work or touch electronic devices on the Sabbath. According to several prosecutors who were in on the call, Bovino mockingly called Rosen one of the chosen people, said it sarcastically, and then wondered if Rosen knew that Orthodox Jewish criminals don't take the Sabbath off. Tom Homan has taken over as the point person in Operation Metro Surge over there in Minnesota. This weekend, as part of a new sensitivity training program, Homan led his fellow ICE and Border Patrol agents on a tour of the Minneapolis Institute of Art to gain a finer appreciation of neoclassical sculpture by pepper spraying a plaster cast of Psyche revived by Cupid's Kiss, originally committed to marble by Antonio Canova, who Homan pointed out was Italian. And yes, here's Homan taking his border agents through Minneapolis's famed Walker Art Center, demanding Frida Kahlo paintings of blue horses show them their papers. It's a new regime. They're changing. Homan, different from Bovino, a little more sensitive. The Washington Post reporting that ICE is buying up 23 warehouses across the country. The Washington Post reporting that ICE is buying up 23 warehouses across the country in order to convert them into detention facilities that can house 80,000 immigrants. This is going to be paid for by one big, beautiful bill. New reports from multiple sources saying ICE last month spent $103 million to buy a warehouse in Maryland, $70 million to buy a warehouse in Arizona, and tens of millions of dollars to buy 2 warehouses in Texas. One of them is an Amazon warehouse that they were shutting down. They're going to turn it into an ICE detention facility. The Jim Pattison Group, a Canadian investment firm, was going to sell ICE a warehouse in Virginia, but then canceled the deal after they found out what it was for. Residents of Hagerstown, Maryland, are objecting to ICE converting a warehouse in their city to a prison. They're saying these buildings are for storing packages, not human beings. Critics say housing people inside warehouses will place a strain on the sewage system as well as emergency services. Then again, ICE detention facilities don't provide toilets or medical care, so that may not be anything for the locals to worry about.